Look at these poor souls. Stuck, trying to remember their passwords. If only there was a way that didn't involve 12 to 16 upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Oh wait, there is. Passkeys. Passkeys make signing into your favorite websites fast, simple, and secure. And can be used on most of your devices, even when you get a new one. You can even sign into your account from a nearby device. So you can get right back to shopping, espresso machine. I'll take a double. Selling. I don't know what you're selling, but I'm buying. Listening. Country fan, huh? Well, giddy up. And streaming. Spoiler alert. Just kidding. Easy, right? Learn how to get passkeys for your apps and websites at passkeyscentral.org. Shh. Oh, sorry, my bad. Free yourself with passkeys.
Welcome everyone to the Hurting Humanity channel. It is very important that we continue to pay attention with all the craziness going on, with all the weaponized weather, with all the political theater, that we still pay attention to the digital ID because it's coming front and center. And for people out there that don't understand what the digital ID is and how they're doing these little things subtly to mess with you into getting you to comply with the digital ID, let me explain it to you. So if you haven't noticed, a lot of the noise that you're going to continue to hear about this fake election that's coming up is, of course, the psyop that's going to come out of it in regards to illegals voting, whose vote counted where people here rigging the votes, was Russia involved, votes, the votes weren't accurately counted, certain states were. This is a narrative we've heard for about 10 years now, right? That narrative is important, and the reason it's important is this is how they're going to convince both sides of getting on board with the digital ID. You're not going to hear the alt-right media push back on the digital ID. You're not going to hear this stuff explained to you anywhere in the media because they want you to comply. That is why you constantly hear stories like, hey, iPhone users are warned as new email password stealing attacks have been reported. All of these hacking stories all tie in to the digital ID, and that's why we hear it every day. People getting locked out of their bank accounts, people's IDs getting stolen, these phishing scams that are supposedly happening where people are having, think that they're speaking with Keanu Reeves online, people posting anonymously on forums. We can't figure out who they are. They're leaving threats. People like me who post anonymously. Well, we need a digital ID so we could track and monitor everything on the internet because we have people putting ideas out there that could be dangerous, right? We have people who are saying certain things or pretending to be people that they're not. We need to have a digital ID, and they need to convince everybody of that. Do we actually need a digital ID? Of course not. A digital ID ties in my belief, with the coming mark of the beast. So there's stories out there like this, the war on passwords, and it being one step closer to finally ending. And you may have noticed in some account, I talked about this recently, any account that you have, I'm sure you've noticed that it's getting more and more irritating to log into the account. That's being done deliberately. For me personally, when I log in to upload any of these types of videos on any platform, I have to give a phone number. They want a phone number, even if it's a burner phone, right? These are all transitional things where it used to just be you put in a password. Now they're pushing you towards this thing called a passkey, and you're going to see Amazon push you towards it. You're going to see Facebook push you towards it. You're going to see all things that you thought were convenient start pushing you towards it. In fact, convenient things like when you would normally log in and have your password autofill, right? You would click, it would autofill your password. It's your Google Chrome or whatever account you use for your internet browser. Those days are going to be gone because the passkey is what they need to start implementing biometrics. So for people out there that don't know how this works with these passkeys, if you've seen it pop up and you constantly push the skip button where it says you could skip it for now, because they're getting you prepared for it, where eventually you log into your account and you're not going to be allowed into an account that you depend on, like your bank account, like your Amazon Prime account or your Amazon account, like your Facebook account, like your email account, right? These are all ways that people shop and communicate now. So they've waited for you to become so dependent on it that it's a normal part of your day-to-day life. You know what to do to go on a computer and log on, that you're not going to get rid of it if they tell you that you need to transfer over to biometric data. You're going to have an option to make. You're going to have a choice to make. You're either going to go along with giving your thumbprint or your retina scan, or you're not going to use your email account anymore. That's what they're setting you up for. They're literally setting you up for a standoff where they draw the line in the sand. They say, you coming or you going? And most people, of course, will go along with this. Now, pass keys are very similar to blockchain. Pass keys will allow users to authorize operations online without needing a wallet application. And the way that you'll operate your pass key is going to be either a Face ID or a Touch ID. At the moment, I believe that they do still give you a PIN number option, but this is going to eventually be only biometrics. They are forcing people in without them realizing it. People are just slowly getting used to them, putting up little walls between them logging into their accounts every single day. And eventually you're going to say, look, in March of 2025, you're going to have to use a passkey, so get ready for it. So then by the time March comes, nobody does it yet. Then they suddenly lock you out of your account. You say, I got to get into my email. I can't live. I got to get in there. I got to get into this account or that account. And they'll say, look, it's real simple. Your phone that you own is already set up because we've gotten rid of all those flip phones and forced you into these newer phones deliberately. Your phone's already set up for you to do it. All you got to do is look right in that camera lens and let us scan your face or put your little thumbprint on your phone screen, and there will take care of the rest for you. People will do it once without hesitation. It'll suddenly become normal living with biometrics to log in and out of places. This will include stores. All of this stuff is eventually to get this embedded inside of your body. It's going to be more than just you scanning your code. Your whole body is going to be capable of being scanned. In fact, in some cases, it already is. And that brings me to this thing that I covered a couple of years ago, where Vice wrote an article about the plan to put Bitcoin in mouse DNA with a genetically engineered virus. Does that sound familiar to anybody out there? A genetically engineered virus and then getting Bitcoin inside of people's DNA, inside of their genetic code. In fact, Stephen Colbert did a little bit on his late night show, which is not a comedy show, it's just late night propaganda, where, of course, he joked about how insane this notion is to desensitize the audience, because eventually that is where we are headed. Here is a clip from that.
There's a plan to put Bitcoin in mouse DNA with a genetically engineered virus. Here's the plan. A Bitcoin wallet can only be accessed using its private keys. They will buy some Bitcoin by editing the mouse's genetic code to carry the private key that controls the Bitcoins.
So, of course, they make light of it because that's how you desensitize people to it. You joke about the notion of having blockchain or Bitcoin embedded inside of your body because it sounds like a crazy notion. But as time goes on and you continue to hear about the dangers of this, the dangers of that, how safe this is, how people are starting to go in this direction and actually have their digital wallets implemented in their digital ID, and instead of having it on your phone, it's suddenly underneath your skin inside of your body. Because remember, Nokia talking about how 6G, eventually the phone is inside of you. The phone is no longer in your pocket. The phone is no longer held up to your ear. There will be lots of different ways that they push propaganda to convince you of getting the phone inside of your body, just like they're doing now with getting you to transition from typing in a password into giving your biometric data.
Matrix. Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
Future, you will have such a good digital twin that you'll be able to go into the metaverse, into a virtual reality world, turn a dial, pull a switch, feel around, and actually change it in the real plant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is not far off. I mean, the physical and the digital worlds, they will grow together, and the result is exactly what you just said.
I wanted to ask when you all think we're going to move from this form factor to something that's on your face, glasses, and when computing's all on the edge.
All right, 50 seconds. Who wants to answer quickly?
I think it will go. It will. First of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
6G, all of this stuff will eventually be embedded inside of your genetic code. And I personally believe, and have believed for a long time, that this is in fact the mark of the beast, because you will not be able to buy or sell. You will not be able to go into any store, because this will be the main way and main form of payment that stores will take. Just like we transitioned, right, where credit cards came out. People thought it was insane. Now everybody has a credit card. Everybody has a debit card. Well, back in the, before credit cards came out, everybody was used to paying with cash. Well, now cash is obsolete. People think you're weird if you pay with cash. People certainly think you're weird if you pay with a check. And a lot of places have phased out that. Eventually, you won't be paying at all with anything, because you will be what is scanned. So back to the original story here, because it's important to pay attention to this stuff that they continue to put out, because they put this stuff out to start explaining to you why you need to switch, right? They use fear. They tell you that you're going to get hacked. There's people in a factory in Russia that are hacking people's identities. You could be next, right? So give over your biometrics to Big Brother. And Big Brother, of course, well, you don't have to worry about Big Brother. You could trust him. Big Brother's proven that you could trust him, right? Over the last couple of years, when he's locked you up in your home and thrown away the key and told you that you shouldn't have a job unless you put something inside your body that could literally hook you up to the Internet of Bodies, right? So the password killing tech known as passkeys, you've all seen it, okay? They have proliferated over the past 2 years, developed by the Tech Industry Association known as the FIDO Alliance. It's an easier and more secure alternative, and although superseding any technology as entrenched as passwords is difficult, new features and resources launching this week are pushing passkeys towards a tipping point. At the FIDO conference that just took place in California, researchers are announcing 2 projects that will make passkeys easier for organizations to offer and easier for everyone to use. One is called Credential Exchange Protocol, CXP, that will make passkeys portable between digital ecosystems, a feature that users have increasingly demanded. The other is a website called Passkey Central, where developers and system administrators can find resources like metrics and implementation guides that make it easier to add support for passkeys on existing digital platforms. So you might hear that and you might say, I don't even know what that means, right? Well, here they summarize it for you. Quote, "To me, both announcements are part of the broader story of the industry working together to stop our dependence on passwords. And when it comes to things like CXP, we have all these companies who are fierce competitors willing to collaborate on credential exchange, which means switching you over from typing in a password to biometrics. They've been easing us in for a while now. This is literally Minority Report. I mean, people have been having to get into their phones via using biometrics. They've been tricked into logging into their iPhones. Of course, when it first came out, people out there were going, this is crazy. This is like Minority Report, right? And like I said, they desensitize you to it. That's all that this is psychological. They have all this stuff ready. It's convincing you and getting you on board with it. So they've made you dependent on the technology. You need the tech. You got to use the tech. You're so used to going on Gmail every day or whatever email account you use. You're so used to going on Facebook. You're used to going on YouTube. You're used to going on Amazon, right? And then they start poking you. Every time you log in, they poke you about a passkey and you keep hitting that word that says skip. And eventually they go, you can't skip anymore. Now is the time where everybody needs to get on board because of, have you heard all these stories about people's getting, all their stuff stolen? What? Yeah, have you heard people's getting their IDs stolen? They're getting, people are going into their bank accounts because they're accessing their passwords. All these password leaks that have come out of all these big companies like AT&T, these data breaches. These are all deliberate stories that are out there to condition you into this. And this passkey thing ties in to the digital ID. All of this stuff it's like coming from all different angles, okay? And it's just running right into a wall. And that wall is the digital ID. And that's why I mentioned stories about what's coming up with the fake election, because it's important to remember the narratives that are out there with the election. They've been playing us for about 10 years now. Since 2016, 8 years, they've been playing the notion of first the left accused the right of rigging the election and, manipulating votes, and then the right accused the left. And now it comes to a head in 2024. And the solution for this is digital ID. It might have a different name for conservatives, but guess what? The conservatives are going to be screaming for it. Because whatever ends up happening, because we know that there's a design plan here of chaos coming out of the 2024 election, nobody's going to accept the results. The Democrats are not accepting the results, and the Republicans are not accepting the results. And we'll see how this plays out because it's already pre-planned. They're going to herd people however they want to herd them, but they're going to convince them that the only way to solve this problem with voting and questioning voting and the authentication of voting is a digital identity. And moving towards that, moving away from passwords, moving away from paper, moving towards biometrics. They will convince everybody out there that this is what is needed to be done, and they will go along with it because they will be stuck in being too busy, being angry because they're in a psychosis, being too angry about the outcome of these elections that aren't even real in the first place. And this is how they get you on board with all of this stuff. So for everybody out there that's seeing all this stuff, I talked about it about a month ago, where people are starting to just get annoyed, right? That's what it is. It's an annoyance. And that's exactly how it works. It's like poking you, pinching you, right? Every time you log in, they're asking you questions. You don't want to answer the question, right? Oh, now they want to send you a text message to your phone to authenticate if it's you or not. Oh, well, you don't want, well, tough, right? They've worked you. And eventually they're going to give you a deadline and they're going to say, you have to transition over, right? All they need is, they don't even necessarily need a massive psyop when it comes to a data breach. All they really need is the election in a sense, because the election will convince people that there has to be a new system in place, a new infrastructure. And again, remember, AI governance and all of this stuff runs and operates on biometrics. And we continue to see these stories about big companies making the transition, getting ready to move over to passkeys, getting ready to move over to a digital ID and a digital passport and get rid of paper. And all of this stuff is happening while people are very distracted by make-believe news, where we're literally going, okay, fine, give me a digital ID. I mean, I can't get into my Gmail. I've given all my, my stuff is inside of this account. It's inside of that account. I shop only online now. I'm locked up all the time anyway because the government keeps telling me that there's things going on that aren't. So I stay inside now. I'm so used to shopping online. I don't want to go back outside because I'm afraid to go back outside because I might get a runny nose, right? This has all been done by design, and it all comes to a head with the digital ID. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you and your families as always.